Welcome to Let's Talk Amazon Advertising. Whether you've never listed a product on Amazon or have years of experience, this podcast is for you. Your host, Matt Campbell, is a successful Amazon seller and co-founder of a digital advertising agency. His expertise is in reducing ad spend and increasing profitability. Get ready to learn the most current tips and tricks in advertising strategies on Amazon. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Keep listening. Here we go.
Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 5 of Let's Talk Amazon Advertising. And today we're going to be talking everything automatic campaign optimization. So just a quick disclaimer, this episode is going to be very tactical for optimizing automatic campaigns. But if you're an advertising pro already, then this one here is probably going to be a little too elementary for you. You'll want to probably just push ahead to a different podcast episode. But this is going to be just to help with optimizing some of those automatic campaigns, really for new sellers or for sellers that don't believe they're getting the best optimization from their auto campaigns. A second disclaimer is this is going to be raw and unedited just so I can give you more episodes and give you more valuable information. That way I can spend less time editing this and producing these episodes. So let's get started on the automatic campaigns and optimization. I'm going to give you 4 different steps on how to quickly optimize your automatic campaigns. These following easy steps, the first thing you want to do is find out which auto campaigns are not performing. If you only have a few, this is going to be a pretty easy step. But if you're like a lot of accounts that we manage at our agency, then there's a lot of different campaigns to filter through. So here's the exact steps I would take to find my campaigns needing help. From your Seller Central home, select your advertising tab. From here, you'll see your advertising dashboard. And I'll be going through as if I'm actually optimizing my campaigns. So if you're in front of your computer while you're listening to this podcast, you really could be pausing and doing these exact steps. So my next step is going to be is I'm going to filter for all my automatic campaigns for a given time. In this case, I'm going to select for the last 7 days, but you can make your choice on this. But my next steps are going to filter. So I'm going to select the last 7 days in the campaigns, and then I'm going to filter by, you will see this option in the middle of your screen, by targeting type. So once you select that filter, then select targeting type for automatic. So that will pull just my automatic campaigns. Now, there are a couple of reasons why your campaigns will not perform well. The first one is your search terms that Amazon is using could be really bad. And the second one is that your bids are too high. The third is it could come from your placement of your campaigns. For example, it's spending too much in top of search or a product detail page or the rest of search. So we'll get into that later. The last is your targeting, the targeting feature that Amazon now gives us for the automatic campaigns, which consists of loose match, close match, complements, and substitutes. You'll want to bid differently on all 4 of those types. So we will get into how to optimize each one of these 4 steps. But first, we'll start with the negative keywords. But define the campaigns that are not performing well due to negative keywords. You'll want to look at 2 things. So now that you got your filter for just your automatic campaigns, you'll want to look at these campaigns in these 2 data points. That is clicks and orders. Look for the campaigns that have a high number of clicks compared to their orders. For example, if you typically see about 20% conversion rate with your product, but a few of your automatic campaigns have a conversion rate of, let's say, less than 5 or 3%, typically this is due to negative keywords being used by Amazon. You can easily calculate your conversion rate by taking your total orders divided by clicks. So if you have 6 clicks divided by, if you have 6 sales, 6 orders, divided by 100 clicks, you got a 6% conversion rate. So once you have found the campaigns that have low conversions, we will want to find the negative keywords that are causing these conversions to be low. So let's get started with adding those negative keywords. To add the negative keywords, what we're going to do first is is run a search term report to filter out your negative keywords when you're within your automatic campaigns. Let's start with how we run this report. This report is easily done by first going to your Seller Central homepage, and at the top, select advertising again. From the drop down, it's Campaign Manager. From here, you should see advertising reports. Select this as well. Now, once you've made it to your advertising reports, you'll want to select the search term report. Typically, this is already a default option. It gives you an option to select between timeframes like last month, yesterday, 7 days. I normally like to do a customized option here and either push the data back as far as possible so you can work with the most data available. Or if you're seeing a specific time period as when your automatic campaigns is not performing well, you might consider just running that date period instead. So that data unit option, the data unit option next is left at total. So leave that alone. And then you're just going to select create the report and wait about 2 to 3 minutes, and the report will be ready for download into the Excel. Now you have your Excel report. Let's filter out for those negative keywords. The first thing you'll want to do is to find one of these campaigns that are not performing well due to negative keywords, as mentioned before. So in column E of the Excel report, so you have your Excel report open, you'll want to filter the campaign and you want to look for in column E the campaign name. A quick shortcut to filter is to select the top row on your Excel and hit Control-Shift-L at the same time. Then this will give you all the drop downs for each column that you can filter. So then scroll to column E and select the campaign you're looking for. So whatever that automatic campaign name is, go ahead and select that now. Now we're going to want to look for keywords that have generated 0 sales. Next, go to column O and hit the drop down and select your 0 sales option. From here, you can go to column N and find what has generated the most spend with 0 sales. So scroll over to column N and select the high spend generators. So you're gonna scroll that down and you're gonna see specifically what has generated the most spend without 0 sales. You might see numbers such as $20, $30, $40, $100 here, or you could see something as little as $3 to $7. So anything under $1 or $2, you might steer away from. But if it is that case, if you only see something like that, then you might be looking at a lot of ASINs in your negative keywords. So select your high spend generators. And then in column I, this will give you your search terms that are generating the spend. From here, you're going to see one of two things, which is either search terms or Amazon ASINs. If you're seeing a lot of search terms, we will add those search terms into your negative keywords for your auto campaigns. But if you're seeing a long list of ASINs here, and those literally start with like a B and then a number, usually B0, then we will correct this with the following step in the placement, step 3, but we'll talk about that later. So in a few minutes. Now to add the negative keywords, go into your campaign. So back to your Seller Central advertising, go to that specific campaign, and at the top it says negative keywords. And from here, select it, and it's going to be enter that exact search term there. In most cases, you'll want to do exact negative. So negative exact as opposed to negative phrase. The differences here is if the phrase here, so for example, if we're selling a garlic press, specifically a black handled garlic press, and one of the negative keywords is black handle, right? We don't want to put the negative phrase in there because black handled garlic press would be considered with the phrase. So we just want to put black handle exact. So it could be a lot of spend just from a generic keyword that Amazon's putting in there from your title. Now, if you have multiple ad groups within your campaign, in this campaign, and multiple products, then select the ad group level and add the negative keywords there instead. However, if you're only advertising one product, you can ignore this step. This step alone, adding the negative keywords, is the best way to optimize your automatic campaigns. This is number one. Amazon specifically is looking for ways to spend your money in your automatic campaigns. And in some cases, the spend makes no sense whatsoever. So once you get those negative keywords added, and if you haven't done this step yet, you're going to see a pretty substantial difference in your automatic campaigns. So that's your first step on how to optimize your campaigns. The second reason why your campaigns could be performing bad is because your bids are too high. So the number one way to filter out whether your bids are too high is to look for those campaigns that are out of budget. So whether they're out of budget early in the day or late in the day, I usually try to spend about 90% of my budget. So 90% budget utilization, which means my bids are high enough that I'm getting spend to this campaign, but low enough that my budgets aren't getting hit. So in most cases, if your budget's getting hit, it's not getting hit at exactly 12 p.m. So it's falling later in the day or earlier in the day, which means that you could bid less and get those cost per click a lot lower and still get to see by even more audience because you're getting lower cost per click and utilizing that same budget. So what I would do here is just go ahead and look at yesterday's spend on those same campaigns, and then what has hit your budget yesterday, or really that's over that 90% utilization. From there, you're going to be able to reduce bids on. I would go ahead and reduce. You can reduce 5%, 10%. So if you're bidding $1 right now, drop it down to 95 cents or 90 cents, and then check it again the next day. So if your budget is getting hit in the previous day, reduce bids by 5 to 10%. Now, if you notice that your budget's getting hit by 12 p.m., by noon in the previous day, go ahead and reduce the bids by 20% and then see what happens. If it comes back where you're not getting any spend, then to increase it back more. But if you're seeing a very early budget utilization, which it just means that your cost per click is just too high. So that's one way to reduce those bids, right? The next way is the break-even method. This is you're going to look at your gross profit of your product. So let's just say your gross profit for your product is $10 for an example. And then you're going to divide that by your conversion rate. So let's say your conversion rate is only 5% and your gross profit is $10. You're going to take the $10 divided by 5%. You can do that on your iPhone, your calculator on your iPhone by just taking $10 divided by 0.05. And that's going to equal 20 clicks. That means you have 20 clicks to spend the $10 to break even. Which would mean for those 20 clicks, you're only going to want to spend 50 cents a piece, right? So you can then take that same $10 and divide it by 20 clicks. So which comes to the 50 cents. That's your break-even click cost per click. So anything above 50 cents, you're losing money. Anything below 50 cents, you're making money. So keep that in mind. In some cases, you cannot bid your break-even point or below because you're not getting enough impressions. You're not getting seen enough. In that case, you might not be able to make money on your advertising. So you might want to think your advertising strategy as a growth, really growth for your business versus a profit generator for your business. But that'd be another episode in general. So that's the two ways to really look at your bids and how to adjust them and really understand if your bids are too high. So one is the out of budget. If you're out of budget yesterday, or if you're out of budget 3 of 5 the last 5 days, then your bids are too high. But if you're not, then but you're still your break even cost per click, like we talked about the break even method, then you might look at is your advertising campaign, can it be profitable? If you're not able to get the spend there, and you might just be able to run an automatic campaign. If you're really focused on profits, you might not be able to hit that high budget that you might want to not so much reduce your budget, but expect that you won't hit your budget if you can't get that spend at that break even method as well. So just the two ways there to look at your bids on being too high. So the third way is your placements. Placements it's very interesting because we talked about before on the search terms on adding those negative keywords. If you're seeing a lot of ASINs, and ASINs in your report is going to start with a B0, then it's a lot to do with placement here. So once again, you're going to go into your campaign. Select your campaign, and then from there you're going to look at the top. It says placements. You're going to select this. Here you're going to be able to tell on your placements what performs well and what doesn't. So, for example, if you're top of search, you're seeing a conversion rate of 20%, but your product pages here has a conversion rate of 3%, and your rest of search has a conversion rate of 12%. You know you want to stay away from product detail pages. So what's the way to do that? So you're going to go over here. It says bid adjustment. This is dynamic bidding. Here, if you see that much of a difference, you want to first reduce your cost per click, your overall cost per click, and then secondly, increase your bid adjustments for top of search. So now you can choose a percentage between 0% and 900%. So be careful here, because if you put 900% here, Amazon will literally jump your bid up 10 times what your max cost per click is on this campaign. So keep that in mind. Let's say I want to increase this 50%. 50%. I'm seeing a huge difference in my top of search versus product pages. Product pages do bad, and top of search do better for me. In this case, I'm going to increase 50%. Now that's a big jump, but in this case, if I had a normal max cost per click of $1, that 50% increase would increase that to $1.50. So think of that. So anything, if you want to know what the max cost per click is, all you got to do is take the 50%. So take 1 plus the percentage amount. So if that's 50%, so 1 plus 0.5, 0.50, and times that by your total max cost per click that you have set for this campaign, and that will give you the max cost per click for that specific placement. So if you see that your product pages are converting well, but your top of search and your rest of search isn't, then you would want to do the same thing for product pages. So if you don't see a huge difference, but you see a slight difference between product pages and top of search, start with 10%. Add just 10% to your top of search and go from there, and then monitor it. So all you're doing is saying if you wanted a dollar cost per click, max cost per click, but you want to add that 10%, you're really just doing $1.10. So you're not increasing by a lot. And in some cases, you can kind of hack this here. You can, let's say you want to only have top of search. So you could say, okay, I'm willing to spend, $1, but I want it only to be on the top of search. So then I might do 500% here on the top of search and then bid at 20%. So what that's going to do is if it's 500% bid adjustment, you're just going to take that, and then basically all you're saying is anything 20 cents or less, it can go in the rest here. It can go in the product pages or the rest of search, but anything over 20 cents or anything for top of search, I'm willing to bid up for $1. Then you can do a big bid adjustment onto your top of search placement to make sure that those swings completely eliminate the product pages and the rest of search. So that's just a quick hack on how to basically just take all of your spin into one of these specific placements. So notice that you can't really do that for rest of search, but you can do it for product pages and top of search. So that's step 3 on how to optimize and have the most optimized automatic campaigns is with placements. The fourth and final way is with targeting. And this is a fairly new feature, not extremely new, but if you have campaigns back from 2018, you won't see this option. But any of your newer campaigns, 2019 or later, typically are going to have this targeting option. So you're going to go into the campaign and then into the ad group. And into the ad group, you're going to select the ad group. At the top, you're going to see targeting. And within targeting, you're going to see 4 different options. You're going to see a loose match, a close match, complements, and substitutes. Let's just go into details on what those are. The first one, loose match, is Amazon's going to show your ad to shoppers who use search terms loosely related to your product, right? So it might not be very related. So it's very loose here. It's a lot of loose spin, and are going to have lower conversion rates because of it, okay? Close match It's the exact opposite. It's very closely related to your product. Higher conversion rates. Compliments, Amazon's gonna show ads to shoppers who view the detail page of products that complement your product. So something that isn't exactly your product, but that may complement it. So substitutes is if your product is similar to yours, but it's a substitute, just as it says. So from here, if you're wondering what converts higher, 99 times out of 100, your close match is always going to have your highest conversion rate because your buyers are looking for your product. A loose match, it's very broad here. You're going to get a lot more impressions and a lot more volume here, but at the same time, your spin isn't it isn't very it isn't very driven towards your exact buyer. So loose match could be something that could be similar to what you're selling, but not what you're selling exactly. It's going to reduce your conversion rates. So your close match should always have a bid higher than your loose match. And your close match will have a higher bid than complements and substitutes. I typically see your complements and substitutes and loose match kind of hang around the same conversion rates or pretty close to it, while your close match usually could be 2, 3, or even 5 times higher than your loose match. So keep that in mind. An easy way to optimize your campaign is just coming into this targeting groups and reducing spend, reducing bids on loose match, complements, and substitutes, and increasing spend on close match. And so Amazon's looking for your target, for your buyers versus similar buyers. So that will be a good way to quickly optimize your spend and start reducing some of that waste spend. So you're going to see that a lot of your negative keywords that were generated comes from this loose match bidding and this loose match spend that Amazon's driving to. So if you can say, Amazon, I don't want to spend there. I'd rather, if you want to reduce this bid down to basically nothing, you can do that. And that's a very optimal way. Just keep in mind, though, you might get conversions on this loose match, so it'd be good to have a low bid there, just so Amazon's keeping some traffic going there. And you might find there's a specific conversion rate that Amazon's getting there, and that's going to, be factored into how low your bid should be for that loose match, complements, and substitutes. So, but that's going to wrap up on the 4th step to really optimize your campaigns. It's really quick to go ahead and get your automatic campaigns adjusted here, and everyone can do this here. So it's quickly just 1, running your search term report and looking for those negative keywords. 2, if your bids are too high, if your budgets are getting hit, then reduce your bids. 3, your placement is where are you being seen and really what's driving your negative spin. And then 4, targeting. Also, is this driving your negative spin? Your loose match, close match, complements, and substitutes. But between those four areas, you should be able to get about 85 to 90% of your automatic campaigns optimized. So there's a few other features that really deep dives into a couple different ways and extremely optimizing, but it's a lot more in detail. It's a lot more report running and being very analytical. But this is kind of a quick way that new sellers or even experienced sellers that that aren't completely looking at their automatic campaigns can really dive in on their spend and getting a lot more return on advertising spend. So, well, that's it for today's episode. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And if you haven't shared it with a friend or other Amazon sellers or anybody that would get value from running these reports or optimizing the campaigns or in previous episodes, go ahead and share that with one of your friends or one of your other Amazon sellers that you're acquainted with, and to help grow my channel. So once again, thanks for joining on this episode, and we'll see you next time.